we take you inside the house. Grandma, should you be watching these infomercials?
What else am I gonna watch?
Well, it just usually makes you really ornery and depressed, and I want you to be in a good mood. Grandpa will be home any minute.
I would never classify myself as horny or repressed. I'm just gonna change the channel. I'll watch my program.
There you go. That's a much better idea.
Don't you ever worry about your grandfather. You don't stay married 55 years unless something is working.
Yes, I've heard the story a million times. I get it.
Where's the clicker?
I don't know.
Where's the clicker at?
Where'd you see it last?
I don't know where it's at.
Well,
it
how
was
am I
right
supposed to
here
know
a
that?
minute ago. Where is the clicker
I
at?
haven't seen it. No one's allowed
Where
to touch
is the
it.
clicker?
No one's allowed to touch it other than you and Grandpa.
That's because whenever somebody else is touching it, it always gets lost.
Oh, good. I'm glad we've implemented a system for that, Grandma.
I don't like your attitude.
Okay, I'm
Help
sorry.
me find the clicker so my program could be on.
You're
I'm
probably
missing
sitting
it.
on it
My
again. You're
program
always
is on
sitting
right
on it.
now.
Let me lift you up here.
Ooh, my back. Be careful.
I am being careful, okay?
The doctor says that my bones are like styrofoam. What the hell is going on in here?
Oh, Grandpa, thank
goodness.
God you're here.
We're trying to find the clicker. What?
The remote.
The clicker. The clicker for the television
remote.
set.
What?
The television set, the little button. I can't hear you. Turn down that TV set. I'm trying to turn it down. I can't
I'm
get
looking
up
under the
and
couch
watch
now.
my knees like
Okay,
this.
there's nothing
you know
under
that.
there.
A second. Turn
Grandma,
down the
I'm just
TV
going to
set.
go over to the TV and change
Where's
the channel
that
and turn it
clicker
down.
at? We have to find the clicker no matter what. Once you leave,
Well,
then
where's
who's
it at?
gonna get up? Not this one over here.
Me?
Yeah, I'm talking to you.
What about me?
You. Once he sits
Turn
down, he
down the
never
TV
gets back
set.
up.
It's
What
not
are you
the kitchen.
talking
I'm
about? You
the
don't
only
even know.
one who
This
ever
woman is
does
crazy, Michael.
anything
Crazy, I tell you. Day in,
around
day
here.
out.
Not
She's
the
looking for
dining
this,
room
looking for
either.
that. I can't even
Me,
keep
me,
track of my
me.
own things.
You know what? Fine. All right. Everybody is good now. You guys can find your remote and have a great day.
Huh?
All right? Have a good one.
You're just gonna get up and leave like that? You're
You
just
can't
gonna
do
get
that.
up and leave?
Hold on a second. You're not going anywhere.
That's
I'm going
right.
to call your mother.
Oh,
You
no,
call
please.
him.
Don't- for the love of God, don't do that.
You
I'm
call
dialing her up
his
right now.
mother right now.
Please.
And
I'm
then
dialing her up
she'll
right
tell
now.
him what for.
I'm dialing her up right
I
now.
feel like I'm in a bad dream.
What's going on with the television set?
I
Hello?
don't
What's
know,
happening
Grandma.
to the
I'm
television
not. I
set?
don't know.
Lisa, is
What
that
on
you?
earth is
Why are the
going
channels
on
flipping
with
like
the
this?
Son here.
television set? Why
He's
is
being
it
I don't know.
moving
Hold
like
on. 1
that?
second.
It
One
won't
second.
I
stop.
can't.
It won't
Hello?
stay on the
Hello?
channel.
Grandpa?
Hold on
Grandpa.
1 second. What?
Ah!
What are you doing?
I told you I'm going to call your mother.
That's not the phone. That's the remote that's in your hand.
Did we find
I
it?
thought she was being a little quiet.
Give me that. Here's your program.
Thank you for being a friend. Travel down a road and back again. Your heart is true, you're a pal and a confidant. I'm not ashamed to say, I hope it always will stay this way. My hat is off, won't you stand up and take a bow?
Oh, and there it is again. That sweet, sweet feeling, ladies and gentlemen. Tuesday, February. No, not February. I did that last week. It is March. March 14th, to be exact. Last week I said February. Somebody had pointed it out to me. I was very embarrassed. Couldn't sleep for like 3 or 4 days. But got a nice nap in before this big guy here. March 14th, Tuesday. How are we feeling, everyone? Episode 5. We've got an excellent show for you today, folks. Lynne Stanko is here. We covered everything. We talk about what it was like growing up here in the Midwest, her time at Columbia, all the way through her travels to LA, and her time with NBC and Dreamworks, and then the wonderful things she's doing for young women here in Chicago now. She's back where she belongs, and we're definitely going to cover a lot of that. This Sunday, March 19th at 8 p.m., I will be opening for Infinite Sundays, Second City's musical improv house ensemble. I will be performing as 1/3 of The Children's Crusade with Sean Mullaney and Tom Wojcik, who will be joining us next week as my guest on the podcast. Like I said, the show is this Sunday, March 19th at 8 p.m. in the Blackout Cabaret Theater at Second City. To get tickets, go to www.secondcity.com. Select Chicago shows. Select Training Center. Scroll down to Infinite Sundays. Infinite Sundays is there in the Blackout Cabaret every single Sunday at 8 p.m. Don't miss it. And how are you listening to the podcast today? Is it www.mikecapra.com? Because if not, maybe you should go check it out. Check out the newly launched website for all your Mike Capra needs, videos, episodes of the podcast, and plenty of other things. No nudes, though. I took the nudes down. But www.mikecapra.com. Can I have a minute? You know, I always need a minute. And that's what I do this for. You know, we got a lot of great stuff that we're going to get to, but like I gotta get a minute. Like that's all I'm asking for. A lot can happen in a week. I only see you once a week. And geez, man, I feel a bunch of things. You know, again, I'm having a problem with customer service in this country. Now, first of all, I think it takes a good customer to receive good service. I know that is a real thing. I used to be in customer service. Every customer service job that you could imagine, I had. I was a waiter. I did phone orders. I delivered pizzas. I dispatched truckers over the phone. Now I'm doing it over email. I always had to be nice to people. And once I got these jobs and opportunities, you know, I wanted to be that waiter that I wanted coming to the table. Or answer the phone and be greeted the same way that I wanted to be. Fucking golden rule, right? So I'm on my way home from work one day. It was, you know, within the last week. And some of you may know, you know, my mother recently had her surgery. And the day that she came home, I wanted to get her an obnoxious amount of balloons. Like I could have just like grabbed 3 or 4 and like a nice little Snoopy one or like a smiley face. But I wanted to walk in with like 25 helium balloons. Looking like the guy selling them at Disney World or something. And on my way home from work, I passed this place, and it's called Party Time Express. And I've never been in there. I didn't know what it was. It's in a strip mall. I thought it was a store, the party store that has decorations, because it has these big signs in the window, and it shows balloon packages to purchase balloons. And so all these signs and promotions, they cover the window completely so you can't see inside the store. So I open the door, and immediately I have no clue what I just walked into. It was like some kind of Chuck E. Cheese, Haunted Trails, Jeepers, Cozy's, Jungle Gym kind of place. Only it didn't have the jungle gyms or rides, really. It had like a bunch of games and, you know, like a couple inflatable things. It was like kind of, man, it was sad, you know, and it's the small storefront in the strip mall. That some guy just threw a bunch of arcade games in, along with like a bounce house, and it had a bull ride. I thought that was very strange, but it was like It was a bull ride like you would see in a dive bar, but like surrounded by this very brightly colored, inflatable, like childlike thing to fall off of it. But it was just it was surreal. It was strange. Like I couldn't believe like it existed. It was real. And so as the door shuts behind me, I just freeze. And most of these games are brand new. You know, a couple of them were kind of old. And all the inflatable attractions were deflated too. That was the other thing. And man, did they attract. Those inflatable attractions. They attracted. So it's like a Thursday at 4:30, and there's all this noise from the machines, and it makes a sound like, you know, and it's like it's this big, it sounds like it should be this big, fun, silly place, but there's, and it's empty. There's like 3 kids in there running around this whole place. Part of me was like, nice, there's kids in here to support this poor bastard's midlife crisis venture. Yeah, I'm going to open an arcade. Yeah, what, like it's fucking 1987? What are you thinking? I figure since I'm in there, I'll at least, you know, inquire about the balloons, though. You know, I am in here. It'll be better than stopping somewhere else, because there's still one more stop I got to make on my way home. And so there's only one counter in the place, and I'm dressed in, you know, a collared shirt and an overcoat, as if I had mistaken it for a lounge. Going in there is what the goon behind the counter must have thought. And the kid behind the counter must have like just got out of school. This was like it was he just got there. The first half of me thought, oh, this worthless sack of shit. But the other half of me was like, dude, this place is taking all the life out of this kid. And you were once that kid, lifeless behind the counter. And you still remain lifeless behind a counter of sorts, if you want to be all philosophical, Mike. Do you? Nah, I prefer just to move on. I immediately felt for him. I remember what it felt like behind the counter, doing nothing for hours and making no money. So just like when I'd give the customer service I would want, I felt like it was my job to give this young man the customer that I would have wanted. So I give this jizz stain a big old smile. Hey, like, can I help you? Yeah, do you guys have do you sell balloons here? I have to check with my manager. No, I'm just kidding. He didn't say that, you know. It just always feels like the first person I talk to never is the one that can help me. But despite being as soulful as an empty seltzer can, he did muster up the energy to say, oh, yeah, man, totally, we do that. So then I tell him, how about we do 25? Let's do 25. And he was all, yeah, right, totally, okay, yeah, that's 2 bouquets then. We do them in bouquets of 12. And I was like, all right, well, give me 2 bouquets and then give me 1 Charlie Brown. Because my mom likes Charlie Brown, so I thought I'd grab her one of those. And so he says it's going to take a few minutes, you know. You want to stand here or, like, what do you... And I was like, no, I'm going to walk around. I just want to check everything out for a second and see the place. And let me tell you, this place was shot. It was really, really shot, folks. I kept wondering, how did this place make money? Like, I wanted the place to make money, but you can tell that it was just this authentic, privately owned place. And I'm passing all the games, and I hear them screaming their sounds.
Enter 2 credits to defeat Esmeralda's castle. Do you have what it takes to squash all of the spiders?
Jurassic Park, enter tokens now so we can attack the T-Rex. Enter tokens now. And, you know, as the tickets are being spit out of some of the machines for the kids that were there, it was small, so I finally make my way back to the counter. And, you know, this was after I both admired and pitied this place. And so I see that our young man behind the counter had about 3 balloons done, and so I had a little bit of time. So I decided to you know, call the Carsons because that's where I had to stop after the balloon store. I was trying to get a red bow tie, and I didn't feel like going in there. I just want, like, hey, do you have the red bow tie? No, sorry. Okay, then I'm not going. Or yes, we have it. Okay, I'll be right there. You know, those were the two options. And so I call Carsons, and I get this recording, and I'm standing there waiting for these balloons, and the recording's like, press 1 for this department, press 2 for this department. So I'm just like getting more and more and more frustrated. And so I press 3 for men's clothing. And then the recording wants to know what kind of men's clothing. So it's like, press 1 for men's sportswear. Press 2 for men's shoes. Press 3 for suits and accessories. I'm like, yes, suits and accessories. That's what I want. I want to know about the bow tie. So I hit that. And I'm telling you something. I was just sitting there listening to the phone ring for about 6 minutes. And it just kept ringing and ringing and ringing. And I figured, I'm just standing here. So if I'm just going to stand here, somebody's got to answer the phone eventually. And so, after a certain point, I hang up and I call again. I was like, I just want to speak to a person. That's all I want. So I did that thing where, like, you press any button just to get to somebody, and I accidentally pressed a button for cosmetics. And then it, like, goes to this list of, like, each brand or each kind or style of makeup or cosmetics. I had no idea what the hell it was. Like, each one had its own extension. And I'm thinking, Jesus Christ, I didn't know that this was how my life was going to end. I'm going to kill myself right here in the middle of Party Time Express. Finally, a woman picks up and she says, the usual, and she'll transfer my call. And I explained to her that the phone had been ringing and ringing and ringing and all that, and she didn't care. And now I'm being transferred, and the woman, she picks up the phone, and she picks up the phone, and all she says is, 1 minute, I'm with a customer, and then hangs up, or puts me on hold. And so I was like, all right, I confirmed that there is a living being attached to the other end of this device now. And so I wait and wait and wait. And as each balloon went up, the minutes passed and passed. It was 9 minutes. 9 minutes now where since the woman had said, wait a minute, I'm with a customer, I'll put you on hold for the second time. And I just waited. All I wanted to know was if they had a red bow tie. So I hang up. And I get that first lady again. And I was like, hey, the phone. Man, I think I got disconnected. I was like on hold for 10 minutes. And so the other lady, she was just like, oh, I'll go downstairs right away. And, what was it that you're looking for? I was like, I just want to know, do you have a red bow tie? Like, do you have one in stock? And she personally said she was going to go downstairs and look for me. All of a sudden, turns out it's Mike's lucky day. The world is spinning in his direction, right? She says, yes, sir, we have a red bow tie. And in fact, it's the last one. So I'm all excited. All excited. Meanwhile, the D&D legend behind the counter had a couple more balloons to go still. Then I look out my window at my car. My car's already loaded with shit. I think to myself, how the hell am I going to fit 25 helium balloons inside that small Monte Carlo? And just as the thought pops up in my head, Mr. Thick Glasses and Brill Cream, blowing up the balloons behind the counter, gives me this hilarious bouquet of balloons. So I wrestle them down into my car. We had one fallen soldier. I saluted him as he drifted off into the sky. And then I load my big body into the car. All the rubber rubbing against each other. Rubbing and rubbing and rubbing. That felt good. That one was for me, folks. And my car is just wall to wall with balloons. It felt like I was inside a Skittles bag. So I go from this mom and pop shop to this big mega department store. The people looked even more lifeless. I go to the counter by the men's section, and I look over there, and there's these two older ladies, and they got their glasses all the way down their nose. And for those of you who know me, you know that that's my specialty, old ladies. I charm them with the days of old, and they often respond in my favor. So I approach the counter. They couldn't be any less excited to see me. In fact, I feel like my very existence made them angry. And I immediately feel like it's my job now to make this pleasant. It's my job as the customer to be as nice as possible in order to purchase this bow tie. And so I smile and I say, word on the street is there's a red bow tie waiting at this counter. And I give her another smile, and the lady looks at me and goes, "Oh, that was you." And then she didn't say another word. She just rang me up, and the other ones wrapped the tie. And I'm standing there smiling like a jackass. So I finally get home with Mom's balloons. I give her a kiss, and then I go to try on the bow tie. And the damn thing wouldn't fit around my neck. It was too small. How is a bow tie too small? Ties are like a one size fits all kind of thing. I've never had a problem with ties. I don't have, I'm fat, but my neck isn't really fat. It's not unusually fat. There's thinner people than me who have bigger necks, so that's the point of a tie. The tie was $30. To me that's a lot for a bow tie. And the ladies wrapped it up like, we were at Marshall Fields in the 30s or something. That store was filled with this synthetic aroma and so many mirrors all around to fabricate some image of some high-end department store. And so I returned the tie and thought that was going to, be this big fiasco. But they gave me my money back. And for the price of the tie, I went to Walmart, got a tie, the last one, red, fit my fat fucking neck, and grabbed a pair of slippers, all for the price of the tie at Carson's. The tie looked great. The slippers were comfortable. They felt like they were going to be falling apart soon, though. I knew they were cheap, and it just had me thinking, what's wrong with the world? That's what a pair of slippers does to me, folks. It makes me go, what's wrong with this world? What's wrong with politics? What's wrong with people? What's wrong with our culture? What's wrong with this planet? We've lost our certificate of authenticity. Nothing is authentic anymore. No one is authentic anymore. And how can you be? It's not just about a shitty tie and slippers. It's how we treat each other. It's the standards that we set for our lives. Why have we as a society sold out our authenticity? When people talk about the good old days,
back in the good old days. Yeah, back in the good old days. The good old days.
I think that's what they're referring to. I think they're referring to a more authentic time when the products that we bought, the food that we ate, the people that we met, we dumb it all down now for the almighty dollar. We used to make things out of metal and concrete. It stood strong. It stood tall. Now they're just replaced with plastic or a plastic substitute. That little arcade isn't going to close because Beavis behind the counter. It's because this world has no place for arcades like that. It's going to close because it was a warm-hearted business. Walking through the place, I saw the owner's goal. I saw what he wanted to put out, no matter how weird or pathetic it might have been. And at first glance, you'd say, what a cheap place. But really, I think about how much each of those machines cost, the rent of the store's spot, the wage for, Mr. Kamehameha behind the counter. How on earth did he do it? It was a shitty rundown arcade, but it didn't pretend to be anything else. It was unique. It made me feel like I went back in time. Let's try and be as authentic and real as possible instead of getting caught up in selling ourselves short for an idea of happiness or for an illusion of satisfaction. Jesus, that was a disaster. My guest today is Lynne Stanko. We covered everything from soup to nuts. She talks about how all of us Midwesterners stick together. It doesn't get any more authentic than this, folks. She's a writer, comedian, improviser, and most recently the founder and executive director of Show Up Girls Improv. And most importantly, I'm blessed enough to consider her a friend. Here's my talk with the always smart, the always funny Lynne Stanko.
So perfect. I mean, what do you think about this place so far, though?
This basement?
Yeah, what do you think
I like
of
it
all
a
this?
lot. I'm having flashbacks to 8th grade parties.
Did you used to have 8th grade parties that resembled
I didn't.
this?
I would go to them, and then I would cry if my friends smoked weed. That's the kind of 8th grader that I was.
You were that girl?
I was that girl. I was like, I thought that we were friends, and you don't care about yourself, and you're trying to be something you're not.
Oh my God.
I was terrified of pot through. I mean, I called it pot, so that says something, right?
No, I think
It
that,
would be
what else would you call it?
Dope. That would be the more
Dope?
loser thing. No, I should call
I
it
feel
weed.
I feel
call
like
it weed.
dope is more derogatory.
It's derogatory.
Yeah, I feel like it's
I just
derogatory.
think it's old school.
Yes, it is definitely old school. Like my parents call it dope. Like my dad will be like, "Well, you smoking dope?"
My grandma will call all drugs dope. So she will refer to heroin the same way as marijuana because she doesn't understand the difference.
Yeah. And that confuses me further.
Yeah, it's just funny to me that she doesn't think there's a difference.
It's like, oh, it's all dope.
Like, I don't smoke, but I also would, if I did smoke, I'm the type of person that would mention it to my grandma because I like getting her riled up.
Yeah.
She's going to love me unconditionally. So then I just have to watch her deal with it.
Yeah.
And it makes me laugh because I'm a bad person. But if I was like, yeah, grandma, I started smoking weed, she's like, you're smoking dope. I saw a thing that's like on that Breaking Bad and your face is going to fall off. Just not.
Yeah, you're going to start digging holes, Lynn.
Yeah.
You're going to start digging holes. Is that what you want to do? You have a good relationship with your grandma?
I do. She's awesome. She is very formative to me.
Yeah?
Yeah. I'm very in touch with that history in my life.
Yeah.
I'm only second generation American, actually. So
Really?
yeah, this blonde white girl is quite the immigrant.
Really? Yeah. I could definitely see that.
You could see it, yeah.
I could see it in the eyes. It's more in the eyes.
The mustache forming.
Yeah. I was going to ask.
Very Eastern
European.
European.
That's growing in really nicely.
Yeah, finally unearthed some of this stuff.
Because you're an old soul.
I was the girl that would buy the old Bob Hope radio programs from Cracker Barrel.
Oh yeah,
Like
I'm
two
all about
reasons.
that life.
2 reasons 13-year-old Lynn loved Cracker Barrel. The enormous breakfast you can get for $7. Not like I was paying for it. I just appreciated a good deal.
Yeah.
I was like,
You're like,
Dad,
yeah, I'm glad that I could be a part of this.
Dad, this was such an economical decision.
Yeah.
I
Good for us.
Yeah. I had a short stack and 2 eggs and orange juice and hot chocolate. And then also the old school recordings. Yeah.
And that was the cherry on top for you.
I love Cracker Barrel.
Okay, so it had nothing to do. It doesn't even have anything to do with Bob Hope. You just
Everything has something to do with Bob Hope.
You wanted to just express your love for Cracker Barrel is really what this all came down to.
Yeah.
Okay.
American breakfast and old things. I think that sums me up pretty well.
American breakfast and old things.
Yeah.
Okay, definitely. So, what kind of family did you come from then? Were you really close?
I am close to my family. I just moved back to be with them so those assholes can't mess up. Because I'm like, I'll go back to LA. But first, can I have some money?
Yeah, that. Oh God, isn't that the name of the game?
Yeah.
So when you first left, was it kind of weird?
Yeah, I left. I moved to LA February of 2012, but the semester before I had spent 3 months abroad. So that
Well, yeah. Where are you from originally?
I'm from Northwest Indiana.
Okay, yeah. So let's start there.
Okay.
So Northwest Indiana,
Yes.
and you're the kind of Midwestern family that goes to Cracker Barrel. That's
My dad's side, yeah. Yes, I would say we're very wholesome.
yeah.
We're a wholesome group.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, and that's a rare commodity these days.
Not
sure.
in Indiana. No.
Well, I try not to go near Indiana.
That's fine.
That's smart choice, right?
Yeah. When I go to Indiana, I just hang out with like my family. Like I'm like pretty set on everyone.
Yeah. Yeah. The problem
That's not true. I know many friends that stayed in Indiana and like figured it out. It's very easy to poo-poo it based on certain politics happening right now.
Yeah. But you wanted, you're definitely a city
I'm a
girl
city person
for
yes.
sure.
Yes, and my parents both came from cities. My dad's from outside Pittsburgh, and my mom was raised on the south side of Chicago.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
So there was a little bit of Chicago
Yeah,
in you
I've
from the
been
beginning?
to Indianapolis like 3 times in my life. We always, I was growing up in Chicago almost once a month, so it was kind of an obvious thing.
Yeah? Brothers, sisters?
I have 4 older brothers. I have a full brother.
That
and
makes sense
3
for some
stepbrothers.
reason.
Yeah.
Wait, and how many
3 stepbrothers.
3 stepbrothers.
Yeah, and they're
So
all older.
you're the only girl?
I'm the only girl.
You get the hell out of here.
What does that mean?
I don't know. Like, I figured that, like, I don't know. I guess
Because I'm very female.
Well, I don't know. I feel like you would have came from this pack of women. Like you.
Oh, I do.
You okay?
I come from a matriarchy.
Okay.
My mom's side is a definite matriarchy.
Okay.
So going back to my grandmother, she is like
Queen Bee.
Queen Bee.
For sure.
Yeah, she and Beyonce have a lot in common.
Oh, I believe it. The clothing.
Actually,
I
I could not imagine anyone my grandma has less in common with than Beyonce. But I love them both.
Yeah.
Our family on my mom's side is very type A German women.
Now, what is type A exactly?
We are rule followers.
Oh, okay.
We
Structure.
We
Okay.
believe in fairness.
Okay.
We believe in the meaning of a dollar. I'm learning that the hard way. Very family focused, very no one's going to just give it to you. You have to get it. You have to go out and get what you want.
And that's mom's side.
That's mom's side. And all the men on that side are, you have to imagine, the most wonderful men in the world because they deal with that. They're just like
oh yeah.
funny, quiet, like, okay, like, all right, like eyes darting to each other, like, I got you, brother, but no one's saying anything. Like if the women start going like in a holiday, like start getting into a conversation, the men will just slowly exit the room.
Yeah, like, oh, we could be talking about something else outside.
I saw we have to build a fire. They like suddenly will get these like Neanderthal urges because
They're like,
their women are being so.
What do we know? What do we know?
What do we know? It's just like
fire.
lightly punching each other.
Yeah.
It's interesting. I'm very feminist. I don't know that the rest of the women in my immediate family use that word.
Okay.
I am very feminist, but there's also a very traditional way that all of us end up viewing the relationships. Like, if there's a noise in the night, like I immediately am like, man, take care of this.
Yeah.
Or I would if I
If
were in a relationship.
If there was a man to take care of that.
Yes. What else do you need to know about me, doctor, so that you will write the prescription?
Yeah. What was it? 250 milligrams we were going with.
Just
going
a
with Lynne?
syringe.
Yeah. We're gonna go intravenously. Cool. When did we meet? We met
Summer 2011.
Shut the fuck up.
Summer 2011.
No. It was before that. It was
I don't think so.
no Columbia.
Oh, yeah.
It was Columbia.
Forget
yeah.
me.
Not that you knew who I was or gave a shit.
No, we met.
You were like you were hot shit at like I was like the new guy coming in.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely, my life peak was college.
Yeah, for sure. Like you were on fire, and I was like just walking in. And I was like,
Yeah.
I used to be on fire. Like what the fuck?
You used to be on
Well,
you had peaked before then?
I had peaked before. Well, I don't know. That's like, yeah. I had a really great high school experience.
Good for you.
Yeah, which a lot
And
of
you're
people.
still a comedian?
Yeah, fuck yeah.
Wow.
And so I was like, I'm going to Columbia and I'm gonna fucking do it there. And like,
And what did you think when you went to Columbia? You were going to be on SNL in 5 years.
yeah, well, 2 years.
Oh, okay.
I think, or I mean, if I could have gotten it within that year, I mean, that would have been good.
Have been worth it.
That would have been okay.
Otherwise, waste of money.
Yeah, bullshit. This bullshit. No, but it was the writer's room for Out on a Limb.
Out on a limb, yes.
And you always, I remember being a standout writer. Always a lot of pieces getting picked.
I did have some success in that.
Yeah.
I learned how to write a sketch in that class because our teacher really taught structure that made sense to me.
Mm-hmm.
And I still use that same structure whether I'm writing a 3-page sketch or
a whole play or anything,
yeah,
a whole
120-page
Absolutely,
screenplay.
Absolutely.
'Cause
I
it's
feel
3
like
acts.
I cheated. Here's what sucks. So I was in that class and I didn't have to pay for it because I was a part of the cast. So
Right.
I was just there like as a body.
Sure.
But anything that I learned from Columbia was from that class only.
Wow.
And so I paid for all. So I look at it as all
Is
that
this
money.
your fault or Columbia's fault?
Probably a little bit of both.
Okay.
My instincts at the time were like, no, fuck this. So I followed that.
Yeah.
Like, and I didn't gel or click very well with anybody. And I have that problem in general, no matter what. Like, I have that problem even in the improv community here.
Oh yeah. Looking back now, well, I majored in television and now I'm not using that degree and I'm going to be 27 this year. So it's kind of like, how did I spend 4 years in college and then 5 years of my life and now not using that anymore? So it has made me think a lot about college and like, wow, the weighty decision we give 17-year-olds.
Yeah, exactly.
16-year-olds.
Yeah.
When you're filling out those applications.
Yeah, hell yeah.
It's pretty crazy.
Mm-hmm. So after Columbia, you moved out to LA.
Yeah, I moved out to LA for my last semester, did the semester in LA program there, and
Yeah.
then stayed out there.
And then what did you end up getting into over there?
So I graduated in May and couldn't find work, of course. When you're in LA, first starting out and you're trying to get a job in the business, it's kind of like you're watching a bunch of kids play in a sandbox and they won't let you in. And they're like, no, only people in the sandbox can stay in the
Yeah.
Like
Oh my God.
it's so hard because it's all encompassing
Yeah.
and yet you're not allowed in.
So how do you get in? What's who's the guy that has
secret?
the keys? Yeah.
The secret is be nice and work hard.
Yeah.
I hate to tell you. And also be a privileged person whose parents helped them be out there and be
Yeah,
a
you need help.
fine-looking woman, So
yeah.
there's definitely inherent privileges I had as well.
Well, that's good.
And it was like my act of rebellion that I went to UCB, and this woman and I became pretty good friends. She had never taken improv before. Middle-aged woman, super nice. And I was kind of, it's a level 1, and when you've taken enough improv, you know how to do level 1. And it kind of was just a very interesting character study for me, or almost sociology class of like what people new to improv, how they interact with improv.
Yeah.
So it's fascinating on a different level.
Yeah, and it kind of helps you build like your strength and almost carrying a scene
Completely.
in a way.
And it tickles that part of, I think, almost every improviser dreams of teaching one day.
Yeah.
If they're into it. So it was like, oh, how would I direct this scene, or
Yeah.
whatever. So this woman and I struck up a friendship because I was experienced and she wasn't. She was very interested in it. And so she and I chatted all 8 weeks. We had our level 1 show at UCB. You have a show at the end of level 1. When we went to the bar next door, Birds, the bar, and we're chatting, and she said, by the way, I'm the head of story at Dreamworks Studios, and please feel free to send me a script.
Oh my God. And then you shit your pants.
I shit my pants, and I just like went home wide-eyed and Facebook messaged her and said, I don't have, because I had heard, Columbia tells you and everyone tells you, no one's going to read you twice.
Yeah.
So you better have
So you put
a golden ticket.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I Facebook messaged her and said, I don't have anything that is worth your time yet.
Ooh.
But I just
wow.
graduated a week ago and I need a job. Here's my resume. And she was like, absolutely, I will help you.
Oh, that's
so
awesome.
I had almost forgotten about it. I ended up taking an unpaid internship after graduating, which now, after several lawsuits, would not exist in LA anymore. There's almost no unpaid internships in television and film anymore after the Black Swan lawsuits, I think. But I took an internship on the Sony lot because I'm an old Hollywood fan, and Sony lot is old MGM.
Mm-hmm.
And I had been brainstorming this pilot, or this screenplay at the time became a pilot, set in 1941 Hollywood. And so I was just like, well, I'm just going to go there because on my lunch hours, I'll just wander around and write, which is exactly what I did. So I worked there for 3 months and took part-time jobs packaging macaroons. I worked for some Republicans in Beverly Hills packaging macaroons for 9 hours a day in their home. And they would have, it was summer 2012, so they were in an election cycle, and Fox News was on constantly.
Oh my God.
And macaroons are like the most breakable cookies in the world. And my boss made amazing macaroons, and we shipped them across the country. And she was a big stickler for, I don't want them to be damaged at all, which is an amazing feat. And now I don't even like macaroons, but if I see macaroons, I'm very judgmental of them because this woman was so good at it.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like trying to carefully package and bubble wrap these breakable macaroons while listening to like Bill O'Reilly for 9 hours.
Yeah,
and
my God.
I'm just getting on my phone messages of like interviews I haven't gotten. Like ICM said no, WME said no, CA said no.
Oh
just,
my God.
So on my drives to and from Beverly Hills back to the valley where I lived in the hills, I would just cry.
Oh,
just cry.
I could just imagine.
And I think everyone goes through this. It's a small percentage of, I think, people that move to LA and are like, this is perfect immediately, and I'm never going home. Like, it's very hard.
Yeah.
So lots of sobbing. And near the end of the summer, I get an email. I had forgotten about this, but an email from a girl at Dreamworks Television.
Yeah.
That said, hey, I got your resume.
And that's the one that you sent it to.
Yeah,
right?
It was... the woman had passed it on to
somebody else.
She was at studios, so at films, and she had passed it on to their TV department. Okay. And this girl emailed me, and I couldn't even, like, I could barely even remember that I'd had that conversation.
Yeah.
And I went in to interview 3 different times over a month and a half.
Oh my God.
Once with the assistant, then with the
anxieties.
junior executive, and then with the if this were a video game, the boss.
The Bowser of the...
Yeah, and in between each, I had thought I hadn't gotten it.
Mm-hmm.
And the assistant and I had actually become kind of friendly. We saw each other, and she did improv too, and we even looked alike. And she's like, I'm gonna help you. I'm rooting for you. And I would hear from her like, you don't have the experience or whatever. So, I'm like crying in my car coming home from macaroons one day, and I get an email. Okay, they want you to come in for another interview tomorrow. So I had hit the fuck it switch already. I was ready to just move home like in a month.
It was like,
I was
you had nothing to lose.
I was about to call my mom and be like, I'm done here. Like, all good. And so I go in for the interview the next day, and I was aggressive in it. I mean, I'm not that aggressive of a person in an interview, so I'm sure it just came off as confidence, which I'm sure is rare for
Yeah.
21-year-old
Yeah, you're right on
girl,
it.
right?
Yeah.
Having confidence against this like highly successful woman, but I was just like, listen, I know everything that I don't have. I wasn't an assistant in an agency. I haven't done this. I haven't done that. And that's fine because I'm going to work 10 times harder because I know that I have a lot to catch up to. But what I do have is, like all that stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
And by the end, I had so kind of signed off on LA already that I was just like, I have everything that you need. And I kind of like looked away. I was like, I just need someone to take a chance on me. And I almost kind of broke down a little
Yeah,
bit.
and
Like my voice cracked. And
Yeah.
then I moved on with it. And I got hired the next day.
Yeah. Well, because you showed them everything that you had.
Well, my two bosses were, come to find out, two women from Kansas and from Illinois. So
Okay.
Midwestern,
Yeah.
Midwestern
They
women.
they understood what
They
you
knew me.
They were probably you.
They were me.
That's probably what
Yeah.
happened. They saw that, like, they were like, you know what? That's all she needs in order to be successful.
Yeah,
and they gave it to you.
They've become mentors. I'm still close
That's
with both of them.
awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So it was just resilience and luck and
Yeah, you need a big sack of that when you're walking
big,
through anywhere.
giant dragon sack of luck.
Yeah, dragon sack.
Dragon.
Wow.
Touching the ground, sack of luck.
Yeah. So you're working for Dreamworks then, at this
I
point.
worked for Dreamworks
Yeah.
for a year and 2 months.
and what were you doing over there?
I worked for their television department, and at that time, the most shows we had on the air were 8 or 9 while I was there, which is a huge, like DreamWorks Television, now Amblin Television, and Capital Entertainment, and maybe one other production company were the only independent production companies that have that kind of volume. So it was very prestigious, and it's Steven Spielberg and
Mm-hmm.
all of that. It was extremely hard. I had no work-life balance the whole first week. I mean, I didn't even know how to roll a call, and I suddenly was thrown into that with no training wheels.
Yeah.
Which is how I learned so fast, and I think I was an extremely good assistant. And I worked really hard for that company, but I had no balance whatsoever.
Well, it became a lifestyle at that point.
It was a lifestyle, and it was running to catch up.
Okay.
But I learned so much.
Oh, absolutely. And just getting tossed into the fire like that.
Yeah, and
That's
they're unique because they do comedy and drama.
Mm-hmm.
You work so many other places. You'll either be in development or current. So you're either developing from pitch to script to pilot, and then once it gets picked up, you kind of give it away to then current, and then current will develop will work with the show for the rest of the time on air. And DreamWorks did both, so I got to see everything.
Yeah.
And when you're at a
that's
production
awesome.
company, you're working with very closely with the writers. I got to know a lot of writers, but then also with the studio and network as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I learned a lot. It was very cool, and it's
So why'd you stop? Why was it just a year and a half or whatever?
So jobs in that industry, especially entry-level jobs, they really suggest a year only. At
Mhm.
networks, it's a little different. People tend to stay longer, but both my bosses were of the opinion, leave after a year, you'll get burned out and go learn something else.
Yeah. And then
Um,
what is the next step supposed to be then? So you
It
give
really
it a year and
depends
then
what you want to do. And
Yeah.
I had waffled back and forth, and I continued to, which is why we're sitting here in this basement.
Mhm.
But I wasn't sure if I wanted to be an executive or a writer. And what I ended up deciding, I was very burned out on the producing executive side of it by the
Yeah.
end of that run. So I was like, I'm going to try to be a writer. So I moved on to one of their shows, DreamWorks' shows, as a writer's PA, and worked for that show for a season.
Okay.
So that was the next step, and that was very cool for a million other reasons.
Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
Very hard for a million other reasons.
Yeah.
Completely.
It was the full
different job.
package. It was the real deal.
It was really cool. It's fairly rare that a show, not fairly rare, but that it was a sci-fi drama, and that it was actually shooting on a lot in LA, as opposed to like a lot of shows will like shoot in Vancouver, but the writer's room is in LA. So it's rare that you can take the elevator down from your office, and across the street is the set,
Mhm.
right? And you can talk to the people in costumes and craft services and the grips and all of that.
Yeah.
You can meet all those people. But I've never had a passion for production. I'm just
Mhm.
like, it's too in the moment and stressful, and
Yeah.
I'd rather plan something out for 8 months methodically and then have someone else have their hair on fire. and
Oh,
do-
okay.
I also really like sleep.
Don't
I
we
really
all?
like a full
Oh,
8
okay.
hours.
Yeah. You're not, well, you are a workaholic, but
I
you,
think I used to be.
but you kind of, you're in rehab now.
Yeah. My name is Lynn, and I'm a workaholic.
Yeah. Hi, Lynn.
I've been lazy for 5 months.
Yeah. Help yourself to some chocolate chip cookies and coffee. We've got it there on the table.
On the table.
Well, that's good. And then so what was the straw that broke the camel's back then?
Well, the
Where
show ended, or the season ended.
the season ended.
And it was the season TV. If you know any writer's PA, give them a hug, because that is a hard life. And I think one of the biggest reasons I didn't end up exploring or following the path to writing for TV in LA, because of the way television is now, there's so many shows that nothing stays around forever.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't have the traditional runway of, okay, this show's going to be on for 7 seasons, so I'm going to start as the writer's PA, but then I'm going to move up to showrunner's assistant, and then writer's assistant,
Yeah, there's-
and then staff writer, and then get staff from there.
Mm-hmm.
Also, runs are very different, and with all the different channels and services and networks, there are so many different episode orders, and they all shoot at different times now. So as opposed to, okay, it's a 22 episode show, and it's probably going to stay on all 20. It's not going to get canceled. So I'm going to work for this many months, have 2 months off, and then have a job again.
Mm-hmm.
Instead, it's okay, I'm going to make under living wage. I'll say that again, under living wage.
Ah,
Because there's no
yes.
union.
I don't know if
for
I know
writers'
any other
assistants.
wage.
Right. For 6 months, and then have 8-month hiatus and not know if the show is going to come back, and if I should
Mhm.
take another job. And
Yeah. Oh, that sounds like
it's really
that sounds
hard.
horrifying.
It would be fine.
So
if-
how do you get? So like, how do you even like? How do you even do any of it? How do you end up like running your own show? Just like being the one that runs the whole deal. That's how you.
be born in 1975.
Yeah. Right.
I have a hard time listening to a lot of the advice coming down from high-level writers right now, because
Yeah.
nothing is the same as it was now.
At all.
The writer's strike in 2007 really left, for both on the writing side and on the executive side, kind of left a no man's land, a lost generation of jobs, which I wasn't impacted yet. I mean, I was a senior in high school when that was happening, but it seems that people are still reeling, or the industry is still reeling from that lost work.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really it's tough. I don't know how people succeed at writing anymore.
Yeah. But you're also a performer, right?
Yes, but I don't think I know I wasn't. I don't know if I will be. I would love to think I will one day be brave enough to work as a performer.
Well, I mean, I know work as a performer, but you are a performer, right?
Yeah.
Like you did improv for a while.
Yeah, I still do improv. I love performing. It's my number one passion.
Mhm.
But I made the decision when I was 16 I wasn't going to have that life, I think.
Yeah.
And I
What-
don't
what
have
do you
it as
mean
a
by that?
regret. It's like a half regret. In that I wasn't going to go to college for it. I chose television because it was my second most favorite interest to theater, and there was a career path there.
Yeah. But why such a conscious? Like, it sounds like you gave it a lot. Like there was like something real.
Well, then we go back to the family thing of
Okay.
know the value of $1, and no one's going to just hand you things.
Yeah. Yeah,
Which
but-
I understand is ironic, because I had also just talked about my parents helping me
Well,
through LA.
right.
Which is why I say I don't have that as strongly as the rest.
Yeah.
'Cause they love.
So-
I'm just really adorable, so they want to give me things. They shouldn't. I'm not that good of a person.
So it was strictly a financial lifestyle that you didn't want to have to go
I think
through?
I had a lot of fear instilled in me by, my own fear and then adults in my life that was like, well, how are you going to make a living? And also, just as much, that's a lot of criticism.
Yeah.
And,
Okay.
I had no self-esteem back then.
Mhm.
So, and wasn't confident in my looks or anything. So you take a career that's just like, okay, well, you're going to be hired and criticized mostly by your looks.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a tough pill to swallow for sure.
Yeah, and it's going to be really hard to make money.
Yeah.
So, I could run away from that pretty quickly. And talk about being top dog.
Yeah.
I was top dog in theater as far as acting in high school. But,
Yeah, but whatever.
right, whatever.
Yeah.
What does that matter?
Yeah, what does that matter?
I won Best Ensemble Member in Fiddler on the Roof in
Yeah?
2005.
Best ensemble member?
Yeah, they chose the best ensemble member.
So among other credits, ladies and gentlemen,
Mm-hmm.
Lynne Stanko, Best Ensemble Member 2005.
5, yeah.
Okay. I couldn't believe that I had her in the flesh
Yeah.
right here,
Here I
like
am.
in front of me. That's amazing. Yeah. That's why I was so passionate and like was so ready to attack the world, because that's how it was for me at the end of my high school.
We
deal.
are those kids that they're like, stop giving those kids trophies.
Yeah.
Like yes, fair enough.
Well, but with
But it
that said,
felt so
I
good
worked
at the
I
time.
worked hard in order to get them.
Hell
though.
yeah.
And I was shitty at first, and then I got better.
You hear they give out trophies and you're going
I was
to
like,
practice
oh,
on
how
time.
do I do that? How do I win one of those?
Yeah.
How do I win all of them?
Yeah. So maybe awards are good. We're reward-based
Yeah.
people. My dog is the same way.
Yeah, but you are such a more emotionally healthy human being.
Why do you think that?
Because I feel like I also have a lot of those same insecurities that you
Yes.
had, but I bastardized them by performing and needing to perform and being validated by performing.
Wow. I don't know that that's less healthy.
You don't think so?
I don't know. I have to sit and process with that because to me, you're doing exposure therapy as opposed to hiding from it.
Yeah. Well, and mocking my insecurities.
Oh yeah.
And
And that's the defense mechanism. Isn't
right,
it?
exactly.
Like,
and then I
when
feel safe.
Yeah, 7th grade, I was like, oh, okay. I have acne and a unibrow and not braces, bad teeth. That's where people like us are born.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, well, I'm gonna make the joke first.
Oh, absolutely.
Hey, everybody! Like,
Absolutely.
okay, I'm gonna be funny because I'm not
Yeah.
gonna be
Right.
anything else.
Yeah, I felt like I did. I was like, well, I don't have anything else to offer.
Yeah. So I'm gonna go at this hardcore.
Yeah. And I have to be good at something.
Well, and there was the secret of being an old school girl because I would watch Mary Tyler Moore Show and All in the Family
Oh,
and
of
the Golden
course.
Girls, and then I would go and perform them at lunch scenes,
Yeah.
and I would just forget to credit them.
Oh, well, the first like 10 years of being a comedian
Yeah.
is just doing doing real bits.
Yeah.
But at that point, I
You're
think
learning
it's fair.
pacing and
It's
voice.
Yeah,
and
I think it's fair because it's weird. I was having this conversation with somebody. It was earlier today, actually.
Mhm.
How in 6th grade, I would go to school, and we'd stand outside the school for like a half hour before, like the buses would drop all the kids off, and all the kids just like hung out outside the school for like a half hour, and that was my time where I just did George Carlin bits.
Oh, I love it.
because
And those kids didn't know who George Carlin was.
they had no fucking clue.
They didn't know who Mary Tyler Moore was.
Exactly.
So we were free
Yeah.
to just completely steal.
They never questioned it because you did it confidently enough where you're
Yes.
like, look at this bit, look at how funny this is, and so you have to have solid ammo to practice with. I feel.
I think it's brilliant. I used to perform Vitamita Vegemin
Yeah, the Lucille
with-
Ball, the Lucille Ball bit.
applesauce.
Oh, that's so funny.
at my kitchen table
That's awesome.
for friends or not for no one.
For nobody. Did you ever film it?
I don't think so. I don't think by that point, but when I was younger, and I would go to my grandparents' house. They lived 2 minutes away. I would use my grandpa's tape recorder or camera, and in their basement, I held a talk show. I held a variety show.
Really?
And there's tapes of this. Now I remember doing it,
I
but
have
I wouldn't
the
have
same
remembered.
tapes.
Yeah. And so does everyone that's like
Everybody,
us.
yeah, exactly.
I mean, we were all, Carol Burnett and Jack Parr.
Oh,
and,
absolutely.
And
yeah.
why can't I think of his name? Anyway.
That hand gesture.
That guy,
totally, Yeah.
You were probably like Dean Martin, like pretending like you were drunk.
Yeah, exactly. I love that. Yeah, because he did always pretend that he was drunk.
I think he
wasn't
was. Was that an act?
It was. That's what I heard. I heard
That
it was an act. But
actually, yeah, I've heard that too.
I heard it was an act, but I like the folklore that it was an act.
Yeah.
But I'm also a big fan of like watching the variety show and the roasts and stuff. And I'm like,
I love the Dean Martin roasts.
oh, they're so good.
They're so good.
They're so good. I just want
Jokes are different now.
Yeah, I want to finish my point on Dean
Sorry.
Martin, and then we definitely need to get into the roasts for a moment. But my point being with Dean Martin is that there's times when I'm watching him and I'm like, I don't know, this guy, he might be pretty fucked up.
Yes.
Like
Well, the roast they were.
and then, yeah, at the roast, yeah, absolutely.
I think his show probably he was more in professional mode. You know what I
Yeah.
love for that is Match Game.
Oh, right.
One of my favorite shows growing up. I love in Match Game because they would film all the whole week's episodes, all 5 episodes in one day. So Monday,
really?
So Monday, Tuesday, I think Monday and Tuesday were before lunch, and then Wednesday, Thursday, Friday were after lunch. Their shows.
Mm-hmm.
So Monday, Tuesday, totally normal. Everyone's just playing the game, laughing. I mean, they're still smoking on set, but it was the 70s.
Yeah. Cigarettes were still good.
Yeah, they were still super healthy for you.
Yeah. The Flintstones endorsed them.
They did. And
Barney, pass me another smoke, would you? Oh, yeah, Fred, sure.
Fred, I haven't watched the Flintstones. That was like the most half-assed Wilma.
No, that was solid though. I got it.
Couldn't tell you what cartoon.
I mean,
Wilma sounds like.
I mean, I didn't like those were bullshit impressions on my behalf as well.
But they, the Wednesday, Thursday, Friday after lunch, they're just blitzed. Boobs is the answer to every question.
Mhm.
They're like, Betty White was always stripping by the end.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, we don't need that many stripteases, Betty White.
Mm-hmm.
Put it away, lady.
You're a huge Betty White fan,
I'm
right?
a huge Betty White fan. I was a huge Betty White fan. Then it became cool, and I was like, never mind.
Yeah, you're like, forget about it.
Forget it.
I know that you are a huge Golden Girls fan.
Yeah, I was when I was 11. That all started.
Yeah, I mean, but that's like something that never like leaves.
It
Like
never
there's like a
leaves.
piece of you where you're
No,
like,
and
yes,
that's
Golden
why.
Girls.
That's why. I mean, going into television made total sense. I became a Betty White
Absolutely,
fan
yeah.
when I was 11, and she has been around television for 7 decades. So, learning about her as a fan was learning about the history of television. So it kind of, I mean, I literally brought in materials for my history and television course at Columbia because my professor didn't have them. I was like, no problem, I'll bring them in.
You were like, this needs to be done the right way.
Yeah.
You have to respect this because it meant a lot to you.
It meant a lot.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's very formative. And, yeah, it's still, she still means a lot. I mean,
Yeah,
I was
absolutely.
a member of her fan club.
Oh.
I had a pin. I had 4 personalized autographs with my name
Nice.
on it. And my mom and my best friend wrote into her to get autographs for me. And being a fan in 2002 was very difficult compared to being a fan now. YouTube didn't exist.
Yeah,
There was one site that told you when they would be appearing on reruns on television.
yeah.
I mean, it was a lot of work. It took 10 years to collect the amount of data that a fan could figure out on her Wikipedia page now. That's the only reason I was a fan for so long. And that's how I finished the story. I was like, I got to find out what happened
Yeah, exactly.
in 1955. That's not available.
And then you got there.
Yeah, I got there. And then I was like, I'm done. And then she was on a frickin' Snickers commercial and everyone loved her. I was like, now everyone wants to talk about Betty White.
Bastards! I already knew this.
I've been laughing alone in my basement for 8 years.
Yeah. They're like, yeah, but she's in that one news show.
Hot in Cleveland.
Yeah, yeah. And I'm like, were you ever a Mama's Family fan?
Oh my God. Yes.
Oh, I think I just
Early
fell.
Mama's Family. Then
Yeah.
it got very.
It it did get very.
And you know why? Because Rue McClanahan and Betty White were in the first 2 seasons.
Exactly.
And then the Golden Girls happened and they had to leave.
Yeah, exactly. There is a total divide in
because
style
the son,
once they left.
then the son and the daughter-in-law came in. Or
Yeah.
were they always there? It got very annoying.
Yeah, it did. It got weird.
Carol Burnett stopped joining in.
Yeah, she was. I think it was like a few episodes. She was like,
Yeah.
"Vicky, you got this,
You
right?"
got this, right, Vicky?
Yeah, she's like, I'm gonna go do Annie."
Thank God, though. Little girls,
Oh
little
yeah,
girls.
she was great in that.
That's a big dream of mine, is to like how can I not be an abusive alcoholic but still get to wear a lacy camisole with like, my eyelashes falling off?
How do you
in a
not look like a
bathtub.
slob? Yeah,
Like, how can I do that in like a professional lady version?
put like bright lipstick on.
Yeah, I
Or
just
what
do
if you
that
were
at the-
clean? I think if you were just like clean, you could get
Clean.
away with it.
clean like having showered, or
Yeah,
clean like
clean.
no drug abuse.
Yeah, clean where you just don't look like garbage. Yeah, I mean, even like you could be all fucked up. I don't care.
Okay.
You know.
No, I do that now. I work a full day, and then I take my bottle of wine to the bathtub and sing "Little Girls, Little Girls." So I get best. That is what having it all looks like. This is my leaning in.
Mm-hmm. And it sounds like we'd be in agreement how entertainment has changed and how
Yes.
all that. And I think the roasts that we were talking about earlier, I think they're a great example of how, I'm not sure who to put the blame on, but somebody, and very important, whoever the leader is that tells all the people what is okay to watch and what is considered to be good, like the quality control guy at the Switch.
FCC?
Yeah, that guy like needs to be fired because
no alcohol or smoking on camera?
no, you got to look at the roasts that they used to do,
Yeah.
and the roasts that they do now, and
Yes.
how.
Well, comedy has changed.
Yeah, yes, absolutely. But think about how prestigious it was
Yes.
doing one of those roasts.
I think that it is. I'm not a prude at all in terms of language or whatever, but I do think that once you shock an audience enough with where you'll go on a joke, it's hard sometimes to then pull back in that kind of forum. So I assume you're talking about the Comedy Central roast, right? On
yeah,
Sense8.
exactly.
So once you've seen something like that, it is hard to pull back
and to do it differently.
a
again.
more Dean Martin or just a cleaner version where you're
Mhm.
relying more on
more wholesome.
double entendre and all of that.
Yeah.
Because the audience is just waiting for it.
Mhm.
You're not walking the razor's edge, because you could, as a comedian, just say fuck. You could just do it, or you could make a blowjob joke or whatever. Whereas they know when they're watching that, it's like, oh, I think I know what he's talking about, but he's never going to say it because he can't.
Yeah.
So is he actually talking about that or not? It's like a fun mystery, and that suspense is a huge figure in the science of laughter.
Yeah.
But, it just means that we have to preserve those tapes because I still find them hilarious. But I do think that there's a certain audience that can't enjoy that kind of humor anymore. And that's fine. It's all evolution.
Yeah. And I guess I just like, it's so authentic and real.
Yeah.
And I feel like the entertainment industry has such a void right now.
One of the very many reasons I left Los Angeles and the television industry, which was a very hard decision.
I could only imagine.
I
you're
loved
doing
it.
very well on paper.
Yeah.
Like maybe some hard times, but like you were getting jobs and you were
Yes.
doing it.
Yeah, and I was working at my dream company. I'd always dreamed to work at NBC, and I was working there, and I mean, most of my best friends still work there, right? So it was a very hard decision, and I had an amazing experience. What I was seeing in the television industry and in myself was that we had grown apart. So television had evolved as such where the volume of shows, the industry was creating the kind of void I was talking about earlier with how
Mhm.
hard it was to get a job as a writer.
Yeah.
And I also knew if getting a job as a television writer was easier, and if it were 1995, it was probably something I probably would have gotten into, right? Because but now it's so hard that it has to be the only thing you want to do. And that's not the only thing I want to do. I'm interested at it. I think that I'm fairly good at it, but I'm not dying when I wake up in the morning to write.
You leave television and you leave doing all that. And so you're working on a very important project right now that you feel really strongly about.
I do.
Yeah. Tell me a little bit about it.
It's called Show Up Girls. It's
Yeah.
a nonprofit organization that I founded and executive direct. I officially kind of came up with the idea and the name in September 2015. And then we formed a little bit more officially in January 2016. And I moved to back to Chicago in mid-November 2016, and it is now my work. I, have also had 3 jobs since being back here at the same time because it's not a paying job.
Well, not yet. Right?
Not yet. And also, if someone said, you're never going to make a nickel from this, I would be fine with that. So it's kind of an amalgamation of everything that I love and am passionate about. It's kind of the weird advice of sometimes you don't know what you're meant to do because you haven't created it yet.
Yeah.
So the idea came, I was flying back one Christmas break from Chicago back to LA, and I had loaded my iPad with a bunch of TED Talks to watch because I'm a very fancy person that watches TED Talks. Watched half of one and then played Ticket to Ride and Risk and fell asleep. No. But I ended up watching one called Why Thinking You're Ugly is Bad for You by Megan Ramsey, who she headed up the Dove Global Initiative project, which I assumed because I'm a cynical person by seeing those Love Your Body campaign things. I was like, well, that's just consumerism and all of that. Well, no, it actually was a giant global, essentially research project. And she explained the statistics of essentially what happens when girls stop raising their hands in class around the age of 12, middle school, maybe beginning of high school, and why that is and what that leads to. And it broke my heart, not just because I was that girl who luckily had confidence in being a class clown, that I was happy to speak up because of that. And I'm also a teacher's pet, so I was like, I know the answer. But had no confidence in the way I looked. And that lack of confidence in the way that these girls look, whether or not it is true, is stopping them from participating in class, in their discussions at home, in their communities. And just think of how little you learn when you're not willing to make a mistake and try something.
Yeah.
You learn so much more when you get something wrong.
Why
do you think
young girls feel that way?
I think.
Do you feel like our culture is too sexualized?
Yes, and I'll tell you, I've had a couple people say, Show Up Girls kind of sounds like a porn thing or stripper thing.
Oh,
and
get the hell outta here.
I was like, well, one, I'm stubborn and I'm not changing the name because I love the name, and also it's been that, and I'm not rebranding. But also the fact that you think that says something
about you, about
not even about them, but about society. Of like, everyone's used to seeing girls, neon. I mean, how many road trips did you take as a kid, especially coming from here in the Midwest, but also anywhere, where every truck stop has like, a pair of fishnets and long legs, like some drawing of a woman, because there's, a porn shop or a strip club or gentleman's club, right?
And I'm sure there's such gentlemen that are going in there.
It's just all Roger Sterling, and they're all wearing 3-piece suits.
Showered. All of them are
you
showered.
think about just that instance. As opposed to every magazine cover, every commercial, everything you can think of.
Yeah, I think it's bullshit. I think it's absolute bullshit.
But just imagine, and you're the first person that's ever asked me that question, actually, which is crazy because there's so much research and psychology behind it. But at the end of the day, you just have to go back to what's your experience. And it's so insidious and subliminal and all encompassing
Yeah.
that it's kind of a given. It's like grass is green and the sky is blue, right?
Mhm.
It's some women can be sex objects to men. You can pay money and you can just look at women this way,
Mm-hmm.
which I think was a lot of the reason why I kind of, by the end of my, my feeling of an ugly duck stage, I kind of took it as a badge of honor. Because I say that I blossomed between junior and senior year of high school. I got my braces off. I happened to be a receptionist at a hair salon, and so they did my hair for free, and they also showed me how to do some of the makeup. So
Mhm.
and I just decided to give a little bit more of a shit. But I noticed the way that male teachers treated me.
They treated you differently.
Treated me differently. I got I got cast as different parts in plays.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I wasn't, because before then I was always the character actress, and I take that back. It just, I had that feeling of you're not going to be the ingenue, but now you look this way. So it
Mhm.
just was a weird feeling, and it might not have been anyone actually feeling that way, but I had that feeling, right?
Yeah.
It became that expectation of, oh, now my hair is blonder, maybe my boobs are a little bit bigger, I don't have as much acne, I have 2 eyebrows now,
Yeah.
so now what am I?
Yeah.
Because before then, I didn't have a face, because we all just agreed, let's not talk about it.
Mhm.
And so I'm the funny girl,
Yeah.
and I'm the character actress, and I loved it.
Mm-hmm.
But now I
You
look this
embraced
way, so
that.
can I still be this?
Mm-hmm.
And that was a very interesting moment.
Did you feel like it was a new confidence that you were carrying, though, and that's why you were thinking differently?
I definitely developed confidence that year, but it was due to teachers, certain very good teachers that I was lucky to have, empowering me by pointing things out to me that I didn't think of,
Like
which
what?
is you're a good writer, or you are able to access things emotionally that other people aren't.
Mm-hmm.
And help through personal stuff, and so they gave me they empowered me to take control of my life a little bit more, which was the most beautiful blessing you can give a high school senior.
Yeah.
And so all this to say, the fact that I was blessed with several amazing mentors in my life, that is the gift that I want to give. If I can mentor one girl,
Guidance.
that is the gift I want to give.
Yeah. Yeah.
One girl and I'm done. So I haven't even said, so Show Up Girls uses improv to teach confidence in these workshops. So unlike other improv for kids or whatever, one, it's not co-ed. It's just for girls. And that being, I think whether as a girl you're interested in boys or not, having the other gender there automatically makes you think, okay, well, I have to act a certain way because I don't want to feel ugly in front of him or whatever. It kind of defeats the purpose. So not that I don't think that boys need this too. I just want to focus on the girls, and I don't have the same expertise to deal with boys in this way.
Absolutely. And this is something that has it's directly affected you.
Directly affected me, and there's a lot of statistics of this is a problem.
Yeah.
So I have so many tiers of what success means to me coming out of that. So the most successful thing is a Show Up Girl graduate has moved on from high school into college and is in the workforce and is confident to negotiate a salary that makes sense for her and is even with all of her coworkers and is even with the amount of work that she is doing. She's negotiating promotions. She feels emotionally healthy. She has a healthy relationship with her body and with food. And whether she can trace that back to Show Up Girls or not, that doesn't matter to me. I think if I can just help her be one more voice in the know you're doing a great job, don't be afraid of messing up, Do not be a perfectionist. It's not helping you. And don't listen to that voice that we all have that says that you're not enough, you're stupid. One exercise that I've slowly started implementing in my classes is at any moment during the class, if any one of us, myself included, hears the voice in their head, you're wrong, you don't know what you're doing, you're stupid, raise your hand. And everything stops and everyone looks at that person and says, you're okay.
Oh, that's fucking awesome.
And a girl did it. The first class I tried it with, she did it. And it had been an hour since I mentioned it. I had forgotten I even said it. But she raised her hand and everything stopped. And all the girls, not because they were told to, just looked at her and said, you're okay.
Yeah.
And it was a beautiful thing because, like me and like the rest of the girls, we had forgotten that we were able to do that. And it was almost freeing, like, oh, she's feeling that way too. And she's okay. She's
Did you
doing
come
a
up
great
with
job.
that? Did you come up with that? That's brilliant.
Thanks.
That's really brilliant. Because I feel like that is, you're picking up on so many different things there where the kid's able to identify, hey, I feel this way. What do I do when I feel this way? And
is
then,
it true?
Yeah, and being able to express it immediately.
Right.
And then also just communicate clearly with everybody that's around them.
And to be told, no, that's not how you're.
Yeah.
And there's no,
reassured.
It's not helping you. It's not helping that.
Yeah.
That voice exists and it's fine. And in my little spiel I do at the beginning is like, I still have that voice. So I can't tell you it's going to be gone after this hour. It probably won't. It'll probably be with you for a good part of your life. But I can help you get used to when you hear that voice say, I'm sorry you feel that way, but whether you're right or not, it's not helping me in this situation. So I'm going to go still do this thing, and you're welcome to watch, but here I go.
Right.
And, I have one female friend that is constantly confident. She's an enigma. I don't know if men are like this or if she's even confident if you were to compare her to men, because I don't talk to many men about confidence, but
why is that?
Because I'm still figuring out it with women.
Okay.
I'm sure there's plenty to mine there. And I think that there should be more discussions about it because there's a big assumption being made right now in the confidence research about women that men are constantly confident. And I know
which
that's
is
not
bullshit.
True. It's not true because
it's
every
bullshit.
man that I'm best friends with, which is a lot, don't feel that way.
Yeah.
We just have very different ways of discussing it. And a lot of the guys I know don't talk about those emotional things right up front. But it is definitely a conversation I want to get into as I progress.
Yeah.
Because I think that we are making big assumptions and we shouldn't be. But my friend, she, like you, sometimes I question, I have low self-esteem about teaching self-esteem. Like, well, I still struggle with this, so why should I be teaching these girls? Like, this girl, my friend, should be the one teaching it. But as good as I think she'd be, but she doesn't do improv, so she wouldn't be very good at it.
Yeah.
I can say I've been there. I'm feeling it right now when I'm teaching the class. I don't know what I'm going to say next, and what if you think this is stupid? What if you think this is a waste of your time?
Yeah, but that's...
So I can relate to them.
Yeah, exactly. Bingo. Absolutely.
I'm meeting them on the same ground.
Yeah. And to them, you're okay, though. That's the thing.
Yeah.
To them, like, you are confident. And just like... You never stop learning, and you never hit a ceiling until you die.
Right.
So you're still learning, and you still have those moments where you have to raise your hand.
Yes.
And but you're right there with them to guide them.
And it's just reminding each other, like, I don't know how many times in their life they've had a teacher confess to not being confident about what they're teaching.
Yeah.
And a lot of times, like, if I'm paying for a class, I want a teacher to be confident about it, right? But there is something in pulling back the curtain, and after the teacher has proven that they know what they're talking about and that you're in a safe space and that this is going to be a good use of your hour, to then reveal, how did that go? I wasn't sure how it worked or, whatever.
Yeah.
I'm not volunteering it all the time because I'm trying to teach this is what a confident woman looks like. But I do want to share with them, like, that's the voice in my head.
Yeah.
And I'm moving on despite it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but vulnerability doesn't mean weakness,
No.
So how could a young girl get involved in this program?
Yeah, so we're just starting out. We just booked our first Chicago public school. That I'll be
Awesome,
teaching
congratulations.
in April. Thank you. So we're just rolling out different types of classes that we do. Right now we're working on getting partners with different schools around the Chicagoland area to teach, where I teach 6-week after-school courses, an hour every week.
Mm-hmm.
And then there will also be Saturday courses in different neighborhoods that will be a little bit more arts focused,
Okay.
a little bit more in depth and advanced.
Mhm.
So the curriculum will be different depending on where the format is, and for
Yeah.
that the pricing is different, right? Because
Yeah. What are we capitalizing on?
well, yeah, exactly. It is a nonprofit, and it's a nonprofit because I need this to be accessible to everyone. Like I said, if I never made $1 for it, I'd still do it. So the school programs are just a suggested donation of $5 a kid per class.
Okay.
So at most they're spending $30. But we're never going to turn a girl away for
Because you
student
can't
money.
afford it.
And a lot of the schools that I'm looking at, I'm purposely looking at places that have 80% or higher free and reduced lunch.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to be available to these girls. It's the reason I don't have a full-time job with benefits. It's
Yeah.
the reason I left LA, because I want to be available at 3 p.m. when it's easiest for them to take a class. The Saturday classes are for a different type of girl who has the freedom or the time to take a Saturday class and who has more of an interest in theater or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And that would be a different price point. And then I also will continue the way that we originally started, which is partnering with other nonprofits or clubs or Girl Scouts or whatever, and doing one-off workshops that kind of more work with them with a more directed and curated curriculum that deals with whatever the nonprofit's working with at the time.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so for right now, not performing. We're 100% into the program.
Everything I do is
the program.
is thinking about the program.
That's
yeah.
awesome. That's awesome.
I'm in the conservatory at Second City as well.
Oh yeah.
I
And
went
when did
back
you start
home to
that up?
Second City. I auditioned for it my second day in Chicago
Oh really?
Yeah.
So recently.
recently, and classes started in January.
Awesome. Well, good
Yeah.
for you.
It's nice to go home.
Yeah.
That was the first
yeah.
place I did improv.
Yeah. That's terrific.
Yeah.
And just the best of luck to you with that program. It's
Thank you.
it's such a special thing, and you're perfect for that.
Thank you.
And you're a great role model for young women. And I feel like that I'm glad that the universe is taking you to that point, and that you're still studying comedy, and that you're still keeping involved because you're also a brilliant writer and performer and comedian. So
Mike, thank you so much.
absolutely.
That's so nice.
And thank you for taking the time to come out and talk with me. It's been, I couldn't tell you how much fun it was talking
I
to you.
love it.
Yeah, it was marvelous.
Oh, thank you so much for having me, Mike.
Absolutely. And the best of luck to you. You're a
Thanks, Mike.
sweetheart.
Oh, thanks, Mike.
There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. That was fantastic. Isn't she great? Thank you for all the kind words that have been coming through about the show. And thank you for listening. Please share the episodes. Tell a friend, tell an enemy. Send all your questions, comments, concerns, grievances. Maybe you have an idea for a topic on the show. Maybe there's something that you'd like for us to talk about directly that has to do with you. I want to hear about it. Email capramike@gmail.com. Again, capramike@gmail.com. Let me know what you're thinking. Let me know what you're feeling. Because maybe we're thinking and feeling the same thing, folks. And again, all episodes and much, much more at www.mikecapra.com. May the universe continue to bless you. My exit music, please.